Welcome to this explainer. Let's be honest, we've all been there, right? Staring at that blinking cursor on a blank white screen, totally paralyzed by the thought of starting a new research paper. Or maybe you're just absolutely terrified of your peer reviewer's red pen. Well, you're in the exact right place. Today, we're completely transforming how you look at that daunting first chapter. We're going to reframe the research introduction. Look, it's not just a summary of what you're about to do. It's definitely not just a polite way to say hello to your reader. It's a high-stakes, persuasive pitch. You're literally selling your entire study here. You're pitching your hard work, those long hours in the lab or the library, and your intellectual rigor, all to an audience that urgently needs a reason to care. So we're going to unpack the exact anatomy of how to do that perfectly. We're using a highly structured approach that guarantees your readers are hooked, engaged, and fully on board from the very first paragraph. Okay, let's dive into this. Why is the introduction universally considered by academics, journal editors, and peer reviewers to be the absolute most important chapter of your entire research study? Seriously, think about the weight of that for a second. Is it actually more important than your meticulously crafted methodology? More than that glorious, hard-won data? The reality is, yeah. Yes, it is. Because without a compelling intro, your audience is never actually going to make it to your data. It's the ultimate gatekeeper. It's the very first thing your reviewer, your professor, or your academic peer will read, and it single-handedly makes or breaks their buy-in. If you lose them here by being vague, confusing, or, let's face it, boring, they're going to read the rest of your study with intense skepticism. Or worse, they just won't read it at all. Your intro's foundational job is to instantly generate interest, establish absolute authority, and prove that your voice deserves to be heard. Just like a good research intro gives the reader a roadmap, this is the structural roadmap for our explainer today. We'll be hitting 4 main stops. Number 1, making a first impression. Number 2, the anatomy of an intro. Number 3, finding the research gap. And finally, number 4, the purpose statement. Kicking things off with Section 1, making a first impression, and how we instantly establish the context of your research. Imagine a reader opening your study as them stepping into a pitch-black room. Your introduction? That's the light switch. It has to instantly orient them, showing them exactly what universe your research lives in and making them comfortable in that space. To pull this off, your intro carries a massive burden of proof. It has to answer 3 critical things right up front for the reader. First, is it relevant? As in, does it tie into current, meaningful issues in your field? Second, is it timely? Are you tackling a pressing problem the world or the academic community is grappling with today rather than a decade ago? And ultimately, is it worth conducting? Which really means, is it worth the reader's precious time to read? You've got to remember that your audience is incredibly busy. If you can confidently check off these 3 boxes in your opening paragraphs, relevant, timely, and worth conducting, you're essentially grabbing your reader by the collar and telling them you cannot ignore this work. Moving right along to Section 2, the anatomy of an intro, zooming in on the 5 major parts. A truly successful introduction is not just a rambling collection of academic thoughts. It's meticulously engineered. Honestly, if you're ever facing writer's block, just use this definitive 5-step checklist. It works every single time, acting as the ultimate solution for getting your ideas flowing. Step 1, identify the broad research problem. You start wide, introducing the general issue at hand. Step 2, show the reviewed studies. This is where you prove you know your stuff by detailing what other scholars have already done to try and solve this broad problem. Step 3, point out the deficiencies in those exact studies. Here, you highlight exactly where those previous scholars fell short, what they missed, or what variables they flat out ignored. Step 4, explain the significance of the studies. Basically, why does it actually matter to the real world or to your academic field that we correct these oversights? And finally, Step 5, deliver the purpose statement. This is where you announce exactly how your specific study is going to step in and save the day. It's a brilliant, chronological formula for pure persuasion. That brings us to the crucial middle steps in Section 3, finding the research gap. This right here is where the magic really happens. It's that critical transition phase where we pivot from what is already widely known in the academic community to what is dangerously missing. Notice how this brilliantly illustrates that you absolutely must show the existing reviewed studies before you can reveal their deficiencies. Think of it like building a house just to point out to everyone that the roof is leaking. You have to prove to your reader that you've done the homework. You need to be able to say, look, I know exactly what Smith said in 2019, and I am fully aware of what Jones found in 2021. Once you establish that deep respect and authority with the existing literature, well, you've earned the absolute right to pivot and say, however, neither Smith nor Jones considered this vital variable, and their models are incomplete without it. And that brings us to the formal definition of the research gap. It's the specific space identified by reviewing existing studies and finding their deficiencies, which clearly explains why a new study is necessary. Simply put, it's the direct intersection of existing literature and its flaws, proving exactly why your work is needed. This gap is your academic real estate. It's the empty plot of land where you're going to lay the foundation and build your entire study. And it's an incredibly binary concept. If there are no deficiencies in previous studies, there's simply no gap. And if there's no gap, well, your new study is completely unnecessary because the problem's already been perfectly solved. Proving that this gap exists and that it's wide enough to actually matter is exactly how you prove your work's absolute necessity to the reviewer. Finally, we arrive at Section 4, the purpose statement, the final destination of our intro anatomy. Once you've meticulously guided your reader through the overarching problem, the existing literature, and that glaring research gap, you arrive at the inevitable destination. Let's recap how all these elements stack together to seamlessly reveal the core purpose of your study. Your introduction provides a clear understanding of the topic, it explains exactly why the study is necessary, and it undeniably identifies the research gap. Because you've done all of that heavy lifting up front, presenting the purpose statement shouldn't be a surprise or a shock to the reader. By the time they read your final thesis or purpose statement, they should be nodding along in agreement, thinking, well, of course that's the purpose of your study. You've just systematically proven to me that this is the only logical, necessary next step in this entire field of research. The whole shebang flows seamlessly into that one inevitable conclusion. To bring this all together, let's look at this really powerful quote directly from our source material. A well-written introduction establishes the context of the research and convinces readers. I really want to pause on that specific word, convinces. Your introduction is not a passive document. It's not just an outline or a polite table of contents. It's an active, structured persuasion tool. You're basically acting as a lawyer for your own intellect, making a cohesive, airtight argument that your research deserves to exist in the world, deserves to take up space in a journal, and absolutely deserves the reader's undivided attention. So I want to leave you with this provocative challenge. Does your current draft pass the test? Seriously, take a look at the introduction you're writing or editing right now. Ask yourself honestly, does it truly convince readers that your study is relevant? Is it timely? Is it undeniably worth conducting? Have you clearly moved from the reviewed studies to their deficiencies to uncover a compelling, undeniable gap? If not, don't panic. Just take this 5-step blueprint, go back to your blank page, and start building your perfect pitch. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, happy writing.